I'm going to take you through a grid this morning, and one of the great things I get to do through U.S. Premium Beef is analyze a lot of cattle in not only our operation but for our customers. But I'm going to take you through a set of cattle, and these are actually sire evaluation cattle going through the U.S. Premium Beef grid on January 18th of 2017. So let's take a look at taking some cattle, and this was actually a set of home-raised sire evaluation steers that were fed at Triangle H Feedyard in Garden City, Kansas. And they went to be delivered on U.S. Premium Beef's value-based grid this past January. And so when we think about it and we look at the targeting of everything, we have to see where the money is. And so when we look at U.S. Premium Beef's value-based grid, my dad made the statement years ago, probably 15 years ago, in short order, we'll be able to see cattle that hit the prime grade to the same degree that we have seen CAB, and that's come true. We're very excited on the nearly 4,000 head of cattle that went through using GardinerAngusRanch shares through U.S. Premium Beef last year. That's 4,000 head, over 21% prime. And so that's exciting that these highly heritable traits work so well. So let's look at hitting these targets. And so the prime on the grid, you get a 4-week rolling average of the prime choice spread. And so it's slower up and slower down. It gives us that target, but it's the prime choice spread. And that's really where the money is. Certified Angus beef, again, is the Certified Angus Beef Premium over generic choice, which generic choice is choice minus, the small marbling grade. And again, the 4-week rolling average. We started this program years ago at U.S. Premium Beef and National Beef, and we've left it to where Black Canyon Angus beef always gets a 50-cent premium over choice. Anything over choice or higher gets the choice select spread added to this. Below choice, if you have premiums, you also have to discount. So if you bring cattle to U.S. Premium Beef and they grade below 50% choice on the choice select spread, that amount is deducted from those cattle because those aren't the cattle that make U.S. Premium Beef, National Beef. They're not the cattle that make us money, and they're not the cattle that make us money because consumers don't pay as much, or there's not as much demand for those cattle. Again, on the targeting for the yield grades, and U.S. Premium Beef's grid is a high value, high quality grid. We do pay $4 a hundredweight for yield grade 1s and $2 a hundredweight for yield grade 2. Yield grade 3 is the target. No positive, no negative. It's just par. Minus $10 a hundredweight for yield grade 4s and minus $20 a hundredweight for yield grade 5. So on the heavyweight carcass, when I went to school, it was actually taught to us, you want this ideal carcass weight. And I agree with that, but ideal and what works, it changes. And since the beginning of time, and certainly since the beginning of beef cattle valuation, pounds pay the bills. And so we have actually, as have other processors, raised our threshold up to 1,050 pounds carcass weight. And so really this grid is telling us bring high quality cattle, prime certified Angus beef, at least yield grade 3 or better, and 1,049 pound carcass, because that has much more value. So let's go through the grid and let's take a look at this on these cattle that were fed at Triangle H Feedyard again in Garden City, Kansas, Sam Hands and his family. And they were harvested at Dodge City on January 18th, 2017. Now these cattle, if you look at the grid and you see this pricing, they had a live weight of 1,390 pounds. And remember that that's a 4% shrink, but that's standard. Okay, they had an average hot weight of 901 pounds. And that gave us a hot yield of 64.82, so that's a very good yield. When we look at the USDA Kansas weekly average for the base price, the way U.S. Premium Beef's grid works is it's the Western Kansas weighted average plus 25 cents on top of that. So the base live price on these cattle was $1.1927. We have to have, and again, at Kansas State, we talked about dressing percent and on judging things, and you hear that as yield from feedlot people and from the carcass or the processors. And I remember hearing and even seeing nearly fist fights in the early days of grid discussions. Yield doesn't matter, yield does matter. And I'd say, well, that's just dressing percent, and you can moderate that various ways. But at the end of the day, the yield or the dressing percent, just like these cattle yielded 64.82, the base threshold of yield at the plant for national beef that week was 63.34. And so actually, when I have more pounds to sell above that base yield, I get more for it. If I had less pounds, I would get less. And so a lot of that is yield driven on actually, once again, having more pounds to sell. And so the base hot price, the hot carcass weight price, was $1.88. So here is the grid, and we look at the choice select spread the week of January 18th. Again, everything we're talking about is a 4-week rolling average. So that 4-week rolling average, our choice select spread that week was $8.16 a hundredweight, or you can think of it as 8 cents a pound. The prime, ever since we've been affiliated with national and U.S. premium beef, has always been very, very high, and so it's always a target to be admired. And when we first got there, the plant might have 1 or 2%. And prime was a pretty rare occurrence even in very good Angus cattle. The plant might be at 1 or 2%, and we might be at 5 or 6%. And so, like I said, 4,000 head at 21% is exciting to us, but we have customers that have had cattle that consistently are 50% or greater for prime. So when you look at that and you think about the value, this week was $13.81 a hundredweight, or almost 14 cents a pound for each and every pound of prime product that you bring to the plant. And so pounds pay the bills, quality pounds pay more bills. And the Black Canyon premium, always stable at that 50 cents. So let's look at these 32 head that went through National Beef in Dodge City, and we look at those pounds, and these are hot pounds, but how many of these were choice or higher of the 32? Well, all of them were. And again, I hearken back to what I think was not that long ago, to my college days, and I used to say, well, did they grade? And they'd say, Gardiner, my meats people would say they all grade something. Well, when an Angus guy, and certainly in my mind, when I say they grade, did they grade choice or higher? And so 100% of these cattle graded choice or higher. So when we look at the certified Angus beef, and we look at all these premium type cattle, and we look at this on CAB and look at the pounds, you've got nearly 91% that are certified Angus beef, and that's including this 26% prime on these cattle. There were 2 head that were Black Canyon premium, which that just means they were in the upper half of the small marbling category. Has to be choice average or higher to reach certified Angus beef. Has to be slightly abundant marbling or higher to reach prime minus. And so these cattle that were 13 months of age, 13, 14 months of age, were 26% prime. So when we look at this and we look across the board, and let's just take this and let's go through and let's look at what prime is worth on the grid. Let's look at that choice select spread. It was $8.16 a hundredweight. Again, prime is $13.81 a hundredweight. So let's do the math on that, and you add that all up. That's $22 for each and every pound that you bring to the plant, or 22 cents a pound for these value-added cattle. So let's take this same set of cattle and let's look at what the value was for certified Angus beef. Again, the choice premium of $8.16, the certified Angus beef premium of $4.92 per hundredweight, or 13 cents, $13.08 for each and every pound that you bring to National Beef on this quality-based grid. So we come through here and we look at quickly at the Black Canyon Premium, the same thing. A friend of mine termed a coin, a phrase, it's just math. Well, it's just math. The low choice cattle, the small 50 and above, were worth $8.66 per hundredweight, or 8.5 cents a pound. So this is added value, and I know a lot of our customers have heard me talk about customer cattle and cattle that we have worked with and cattle that other feeders and other U.S. premium beef folks have worked with. And I typically think of cattle that have been designed with these high accuracy progeny proven bulls via AI, or these high accuracy progeny proven bulls sons. In product merit, carcass traits is highly, highly heritable. And so when we look at that, this is added value. And this is what we're talking about when we have that $100 genetic hedge or such, because we know these cattle will hit these traits because of the genetics behind them. So let's take this through and let's just see if we can capture the value. And again, this is the same pricing. This is the same cattle that sold on January 18th. And let's just look at an individual steer. And so we're going to take this individual steer, but we have to go back and we have to look at the opportunity cost. And so last summer, before we sent these steers to Sam Hands, they weighed 852 pounds. And so we valued those cattle at a fair market price at that time at $1.35 a hundredweight, or $1.35. And so they were worth $1,150 per head. So then when we sent them to the feed lot, they were on feed for 140 days, gained 4 pounds per day. It cost us 69 cents a pound. So you have to apply that cost to us. So it cost us another $386 to feed those cattle. So now we've established our break even of just shy of $1,537. When we look at that and we apply that break even on the live cash market, and fortunately the market took an upswing, and they were worth $1.19 or 119 a hundredweight. And so our break even is $1,680. And so with that market appreciation, if we had just sold them cash, we would have been able to sell them for $144 of profit. And there's nobody in this business or any business that doesn't appreciate and look for profit. So let's take one steer and let's a yield grade 3 choice plus 929 pound carcass, and let's do the math on this through U.S. Premium Beef's grid. So we have a base price, Western Kansas average, plus the 25 cents and the yield. It gets a little bit complicated, but that's what that comes across with that base price. And then we have the quality grade premium. That's worth $75.81. And to back up on the base price, that base price was $17.69. The yield grade weight discount, and remember, when we talk about value-based grids of any kind, absence of discounts can often be your largest premium. So you want to manage those cattle to where you don't have above the plan average percentage for yield grade 4s, or you don't want to have heavy or lightweight cattle above the plan average for heavy or lightweight cattle. So there were no discounts. Sam managed these cattle very well to the end point. There's no discounts. So when we look at the branded beef program, and we look, which is the certified Angus beef, it's worth $1,890. So remember, our cash over here was $1,680, and we've got another $121 premium there. That's real money, and that's often just the difference between break even or loss. And so in this situation, when we take the appreciation of the cash market, we take the value added CAB premiums and choice, and then we add that back to all across the board, nearly $354 of profit on this 929 pound choice plus steer because of the value of his carcass. Now, Henry Gardiner always taught us that if we can do it with one, we can do it with all of them. And we are focusing on in product merit. We need muscle. We want muscle. but we also need and want marbling. I've even in recent weeks heard, we've got all these choice cattle. And that's true. I mean, and the U.S. should be proud that they have raised it. When we first got to U.S. Premium and National, plant average was 45% choice. And they were the best ones out there. They were always thought of the high quality cattle. And so as we worked through the years, and there was a week in December, I believe it was, that the national average equaled 80% choice for all the cattle killed in the U.S. Certainly upper 78, 79% choice. That's great, but there's a difference between choice and premium choice. So when we talk about premium choice, we're going back to these cattle. I mean, certified Angus beef is choice average and above. And so back to Henry's rules of let's make them all that way. Let's raise the average. So let's look at a 929 pound yield grade 3 prime carcass. We've got all the same base price as before. We've still got the choice select spread, which was $8.16, gives us $75. My goodness. With the prime premium of $13.81 a hundredweight, or nearly 14 cents a pound, 929 times nearly 14 cents a pound equals $128 premium. Again, absence of discounts is often a great premium. No discounts for yield grade or weight. So we were looking at $1,972 on this prime yield grade 3, 929 pound carcass. That's $204 per head. And so let's add back our premium for the market upswing. It's $436. Now I love cattle. I love cattle business. I like cattle people. Why would you use cattle that don't have a chance the second that you put the semen in the body of the uterus to be able to achieve premium choice or better? That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to the commercial industry. That doesn't make sense to the consumer. Why do consumers eat beef? I mean, is there other proteins out there? Yeah, there are. But we taste better. We have a ruminant animal. We have the opportunity to make cattle better. And I often hear, GardinerAngusRanch selects for carcass traits. GardinerAngusRanch simultaneously selects for all the traits of merit. We have to replicate the process in our environment. We have to replicate the process in our customers' environments. That's a given. And, I've often heard how you got to have these cattle that are this way or that way and make them real maternal. Again, Henry's rules give them a job description. If they conceive, they have a live calf, and they do it every year, they can stay. If they don't, they hold their hand up and say, I don't want to work here anymore, so we make arrangements for them to go into the food chain. That's what's maternal to me, is if you can replicate that process year after year. And if we take these traits that are so highly heritable and so repeatable, I hear about bulls every day. I get asked about bulls every day. And I'm getting more mature every day. And I can remember breeding when I was a little boy to bulls like Pythagoras and Ramsey Emulus 54. And then we go to the great icons when we finally got high accuracy, when we got sire evaluation reports to be able to select high accuracy progeny proven bulls. We used great bulls like Bando and Traveler and Sherbrooke Shoshone. I got news for you. Those bulls can't hunt with the big boys of today. And, Henry Gardiner, Roy Wallace, John Crouch, and I'm not trying to drop names, but the things that they dreamed of have come true. And we've only just begun. When you look at real-time single-step genomics and being able to know so much so fast, for instance, through method genetics, how not only our cattle do within this population, but benchmarked with the commercial population, benchmarked with the commercial industry that prices these cattle based upon value. Why wouldn't you use these tools? Why wouldn't you use the best bulls that have ever been created? And I'm sitting here today to tell you that in 5 years, in 5 months, I'll have better choices than I have today. This business isn't a game. You know, do you have skin in the game? Do you want to make a living for your family, for your customer's family? If you do, I'm here to tell you there's a beef cattle revolution that many people work their entire lives for to give us the opportunity to utilize today. And the good news is we have those tools to do it, and we can do it very well. And I would suggest to you, if you would like to have more access to a greater chance at profitability, you too can, and I would suggest you should use these tools. This is exciting. This is possible and doable. We have tracked cattle that have gone through U.S. premium beef of our customers since 1998. Nearly 80,000 head have gone over $7 million in added premiums and added value since this beginning. That's $91 per head for each and every animal that's gone through there. I mean, I don't really understand why people don't just embrace it and use it as much as they possibly can. I invite you to do that.